Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET now. It's time for us Spend with TMS segment now. During the coronavirus crisis, unfortunately, the one trend that we've observed is, in fact, in the last couple of years as well, banks have had to foreclose or they had to seize homes if individuals were not able to pay up their home loans, or if that was a collateral that was placed by different borrowers, in lieu of the loan that they are taking. But for those individuals who are looking out for a house either to invest in or to live in, these houses, which are later on, by the way, auctioned by the bank to the highest bidder, do tend to be lucrative opportunities. And that's exactly what we will discuss right here on the show. Should you opt for these houses that are available via banking auctions? If yes, what you should be careful of, among many things, including documentation, etc. So let me introduce on the show Prasoon Kumar, the CMO of magicbricks.com. Prasoon, thank you for joining us today on ET Now. Just start with buying a house from a developer, a broker, or some other seller versus buying a house via a bank auction. If you could just sort of spell out some of the benefits when I, bid for a house when the bank puts it up for auction.
Well, thanks, Monali, for having me on the show. It's a very good question. Bank auctions or banks per se, as per latest industry estimates, are sitting on repossessed assets worth more than 10 trillion rupees. And out of this, about 8.5 trillion rupees worth of repossessed assets are with public sector banks. Therefore, banks as sellers are constantly on a lookout to liquidate their stressed assets through credible platforms. This opens up a very, very exciting opportunity for a lot of buyers who are looking to drive a lot of value for money for themselves. Bank auctions or selling of repossessed assets through banks primarily means that a buyer will be able to access properties at much lower price than the market value of that property. And that's the biggest benefit that comes with it. And that's one of the key differentiators between when you're looking for a property through a broker or any other channel vis-a-vis when you're looking for a property through bank auctions. The second thing is banks also do a very stringent due diligence of their properties that they're putting up for auction. And therefore, as a buyer, you should expect a lot of peace of mind when you're looking at these properties. So I think a lot of these things put together as a combination, and also the fact that a lot of these properties could be blue chip properties, could be in localities which are upmarket localities, etc., make it very, very attractive proposition for buyers.
Wow, 10 trillion rupees worth of homes. That's the amount of, inventory, if you could call it that banks are currently sitting on. And obviously, banks are not in the business of real estate. So they want to liquidate these homes. And that essentially is a good opportunity for buyers looking for a good bargain. And I think what's most attractive in this proposition is the fact that they're actually available at a discount to buyers. But, as we know, Prasoon, when you bid for an asset which is put up for auction by banks, obviously the bank will want to sell it to the highest bidder. So when you say discount to the market price, are you talking about the floor price from where bidding will start?
That's right. So generally, as per our estimate, a lot of these properties are available at a floor price which is 20 to 25% lower than their market value. And therefore, that price arbitrage that's there, that is something that will work in advantage of a buyer if the buyer has done his or her homework.
All right. Okay. Now, how easy is it, Prasoon, for an individual to sort of go and bid for properties? I mean, firstly, how do you even find these properties that are available, for auction by banks? I mean, I know you guys have recently launched a portal for the same, which makes it very simple. So how easy is it for now, individuals like you, me, and everybody watching to really, spot a property that I like, which is available, which the bank wants to auction off, and, bid for it?
Well, that's one of the key developments that has happened after online auctions have started. In erstwhile era, before online auctions were happening, it was very, very difficult for a retail consumer, people like you and me, to discover a lot of these properties which were going up for auction. So discovery was a big problem. You didn't know where is the auction happening, and you would have to scan through newspaper ads or other things where some of these could have been advertised. Second, you never had a means to know a lot of details about these properties which are going to be putting up for auction. And this entire process was very, very opaque, and that did not build in a lot of confidence amongst bidders, and therefore this was the reason why these auctions were not taking off. However, in 2017, MagicBricks, which is India's largest property portal, we launched our e-auction platform. And since then, we have seen huge uptick. And it is also now mandatory for banks to conduct e-auctions. And so what this entire process does is, one, it builds scale. It increases the reach of this entire thing. All of a sudden, it's possible for you and me as ordinary consumers to discover a lot of these properties, because the platforms like MagicBricks have huge reach amongst property seekers. That's one. Two is, property portals or online auction platforms also bring in a lot of transparency in this entire process. You can have fair price discovery mechanism, which was very, very difficult task in previous era. You can have a fairly transparent way of looking at how the bidding is happening and where do you stand, and how much should you be bidding for, and all those things. So that opaqueness is gone, and the entire bidding process has become absolutely transparent. You also have services and tools available on online auction platforms like MagicBricks, where you are handheld through the entire journey, right from the listing till the final bidding stage. And so your chances of discovering a fair value that you should be paying, your chances of knowing all the details related to that property so that you do not have surprises or shocks later on, all these things are eliminated. So now it's very, very easy, it's very simple, and it's very convenient for consumers to go out, discover, and bid for these properties.
Okay, I think you partially did answer my next question, but I'm still going to ask it again, for the benefit of our viewers who may be just tuning in. What about things like documentation, etc.? I mean, we're talking about title deeds, so on and so forth. How does that go about then? I mean, how should you be careful of that? How should you ensure that also that there are no liabilities that come on board later on? Because it could also happen that the old the old occupant of the house, whose house, the borrower basically, whose house may have been seized by the bank, may suddenly claim title. So how do you ensure that all of these hassles are sort of avoided?
Yes, and I think that's a very, very important question. See, the point is, even though we say that banks do all the due diligence related to a property that they are possessing, and therefore putting it up for auction, however, as buyer, it's very, very important for you to do a due diligence yourself. So we recommend 4 or 5 things that a buyer should be doing before going for this bidding process anyway. The first thing is to check the title of the property, whether the property has clear enough title or not. And availing the services of a professional lawyer is always advisable in order to do that. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Second thing is, you should always check whether the property is mortgaged to any other financial institution as well. And that's very, very important. Third is, you should also check whether there are any kind of dues on that property, like property tax or water charges, electricity charges, etc., etc.